Okay, yes, my name is Oriol. Okay, and I'm from Spain, from Barcelona. Okay, yeah, the first time I came to Myanmar, it was as a tourist. I was actually in Thailand and for a visit as well. And I decided to jump to visit Myanmar in 2014 with three friends of mine. I insisted a lot that I wanted to visit Myanmar. Actually, because many years ago, I watched a documentary with my father about Myanmar, and he explained me like, look, Myanmar. I mean, I'm talking about 2007, 2008, and by then he told me like, oh, that's a country I would like to visit. Apparently, it's really beautiful, but right now it's very complicated, expensive, it's kind of closed. So in my mind, it 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 kept going, like saying, I have to visit Myanmar, I have to visit Myanmar one day. I like Asia. I worked a little bit in Hong Kong. Then I visited some other countries. And finally, when I had the chance in 2014, I finally traveled to Myanmar. Actually, it was a short trip, but very intense since obviously it kind of changed my life, right? First of all, I have to say that from my first visits in 2014, 2015, until nowadays, I've seen already like a little change about the mindset, especially of young people, right? Because young people, obviously, they are much more open-minded in terms of obviously technology, in terms of language. I can communicate much better with them. We can have more or less the same preferences, like they watch Netflix, they watch international series, or they are very connected, let's say, to the world. So for me, there's a big gap between people who is over 27, 28, and those who are below that age, because, well, they have, I can see very, very different mindset and tastes. Overall, Myanmar people are obviously very nice, very kind to me. They've been very, very welcoming. I always felt like at home. I never felt threatened, or I never felt like in danger or under any big problem, let's say, talking in terms of local people and the way they behave to me. So yeah, I have to say like people generally were very curious to me. Not only because I'm foreigner, probably also because of my looking. Because also I travel a lot across the country because I'm working in a travel agency is something that you have to do it. So in Yangon or Mandalay is definitely like more, let's say, I feel more like just someone else, someone normal compared than when you go to these small and remote areas where everyone is looking at you very intensively, even a bit, in a bit scary way, that sometimes I feel like scared of people, but well, it's just like they are not used to see foreigners and probably, that much, blonde, white, and whatever. But in general, people were always extremely welcoming, and very, very kind. So that's one actually of the points I always appreciated of living in Myanmar, and one of the decision makers, let's say, because to me that's something really important. There are so many things, and actually, first of all, probably I'm more interested on, tourism in general. So sightseeing. I like a lot traveling around the country. Probably I know more Myanmar than my own country, Spain, because Spain, well, is also a big country, but well, basically I travel for work. I travel to visit my family. But in Myanmar, I had to travel to know the country in deep, for then selling the country, let's say, promoting the country, the countryside, seeing the country's infrastructure, growing tourism infrastructure. Yes. So I had to know in lots of details, and that's why for me that's all what is my favorite things probably are related to travel around the country and discovering the wide variety of things you can visit and you can enjoy in Myanmar, right? But starting from the food, because you said the food, well, there are many things I like probably, but I would like to highlight one small thing that is for me my favorite food, and you will be surprised probably, but I have very close friends who work in airlines, like KBZ, because I work in tourism. That's why I know people related to these airlines or hospitality or things like that. And I have a friend that always, when she's going to Chokpyu, actually, in Rakhine State,
Yes.
there is a crab curry they do there.
Yes.
That is simply amazing. It's like, for me, it's my favorite food. So every time, it's something that I cannot find in Yangon, I cannot find anywhere else. So when they bring to me a very fresh curry from there, crab curry, I insist, it's like something that, well, it's the kind of dish that people don't expect me to say, because obviously I like, for example, the noodles. I love shan kao sui. For me, the shan noodles, I like it, even flour noodles. Um, Many kinds of curries I like, especially fish curry. Ngahing is one of my favorite one in general, but I like a lot seafood. Bazoon, Bazoon hin is also one of my favorites as well. But to be honest, that crab curry that I only found in Chakpi. That's the funny thing. Even when you go to Nepali, when you go, I mean, Tandwe or in Sitwe, I can't find that curry. It only comes apparently from Chakpi.
Yeah.
And I never been there. They always bring me from there because there's an airport there. So when they go there, I tell them, please bring it to me, right? So that's, in terms of food, probably one of my favorite, even though there are many other things I like. But if I have to choose something really special and unique, I would choose that one. And well, then in terms of other favorite things, well, as mentioned before, I like a lot how people are in general, how welcoming they are, how safe I feel with local people in general. But if I have to choose maybe other things or among my favorite things, I would say I like a lot the variety of landscapes. For me, this is something that in Myanmar, I mean, there's variety in almost everything. Variety of languages, variety of ethnic groups, variety of different kinds of foods or experiences you can do. There are so many, there's a lot of variety. But for me, the most impressive variety is how the landscape is. There are very few countries in the world where you can have these huge mountains in the north, like snow-capped mountains over 5,000 meters, which, I'm from Europe and the highest mountain is 4,800 meters, so you have highest mountain than any country in Europe. And then in this almost same day, you can fly down and go to Virgin Archipelagos like Niue. And I would like to highlight that because I like to dive a lot. I'm a diver, and I dove in the south a couple of times in the Megui Archipelago from Koh Tao, and that's something also really special because, well, places like that where you can dive, but you don't see many other diving boats like you can find in Thailand, in the Philippines, in other places. So it feels really special because much more exclusive, right?
Yes.
However, maybe now I can attach that to something that I don't like, right? And the thing that I like the less is like these kind of things. Obviously, I know Myanmar is well, since a long time ago is facing many challenges and problems. So that has never been a priority. But the wealth that a landscape like that can give the Myanmar people is amazing, but it must be protected. I always complain, and I always say like it's such a shame that they don't have areas where fishermen or anybody can go just to let for the fish to reproduce. That would be good for the fishermen at the end because like some fish they go out so you can catch that fish. that would be good for the tourism. Southern Myanmar has always been peacefully, and I mean, unless till now, right? But what I want to say is like these areas, if you don't protect some specific areas, at the end, obviously with the overfishing, that can be a problem. So I'm really enthusiastic about wildlife. I love jungles. I love animals. I love birds. Bird watching. I mean, Myanmar is an incredible country for that. But obviously, it's an effort from everybody, but especially from the authorities to make sure that these areas are well protected, to allow the animals to live in peace, to reproduce, like elephants, tigers, snakes, reptiles, birds. There's so much variety. And since I'm in Myanmar, I always try to find some project of people protecting that, but I know it's not easy. Sometimes, I mean, I feel it's not in the interest of the authorities, whatever government is in the moment, and that's something that I really desperates me because, well, I hope it's going to change, but let's say there's a deadline to do that, and then that's the correct word because if you don't do it, the species die, disappear, won't come back. So, well, let's hope that this is something that changes in Myanmar because it's the right time to do it. I mean,
Yes.
The soonest we do these things, the better it is for keeping that extraordinary wildlife. That is my favorite thing, but also my biggest concern, and the thing that when I made some diving in the southern part, local divers told me like before there was a lot more of variety, a lot more of fish, big fish, and nowadays it's going down, down, down every year because, well, people obviously need to survive somehow, so they just fish, 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 and not protect anything. The more developed it's going to get the country, the more clean it's going to get as well. When you see a good example for example, in the beaches of Tanwe, or
Yes.
every beach you have there, from Napali to the other ones, when you have Napali Beach with all these resorts, they clean the beach because it's developed in a nice way that every hotel is in charge of a small piece of the beach,
Yes.
and that's why I'm saying it's like if tourism goes there, and people get money from the tourism, they're gonna have an interest to clean it. If nobody goes there and the only, let's say, way to make money is just to go and catch the fish and then selling to the market, people have less interest to clean the beach because tourists will not go, so they will not complain. So, even in Europe, you have many countries that used to be like Myanmar not that long ago, maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. And it changed when the country started to open up, to receive tourists that want to stay in a beautiful beach, clean, of course, and then, you're always on time to clean it. So all these things will change with the country being good and stable, let's say. So it's usually one of the last things that changes because it's not in the priority number one of the people. But that's why I'm not that much concerned about the cleanliness itself. I'm more concerned about other things, and once these other things will be fixed, people will start thinking about cleaning and have a good treatment of all the trash. That I know even like there were some organizations that started to work on it, but after the political situation got wrong and bad, many disappear. So why did they disappear? Because they have other priorities. So that's why it's like, well, let's try to fix first the political issues. Let's start to have peace and democracy, and then the rest will come together. That's the way it works. People will not care now about the trash. if there are other major problems going on. Yeah, well, I had so many to be honest, and it's always a bit complicated to choose for these kind of things because for me, and that was the amazing thing of living in Myanmar, is like almost every day I had things that surprised me or were unique. For example, the simple thing of getting to Yangon and seeing all these street dogs, for example, this is already quite unique. I was always wondering what all these dogs are doing there, how they survive. I don't understand why they are so calm during the day and then so aggressive during the night, And I had to learn about these kind of things, right? But to say something a bit more original, I would like to explain a little bit about my experience in Chinatown, in Kengtung, in the let's say far east Shan State, right, in the border with Laos. At that time when I went there, it was really really a nice experience, very unique because it was 2017 and all the ethnic groups you can see around and how different it is from one valley to the other.
Yes.
So that's why, again, well, I want to focus more on something related to tourism because this is the way you really find new and extraordinary things.
Yes.
While, for me, what happens in Yangon or Mandalay or big cities in general is quite normal. When you really travel far, you see like very, very different and extraordinary things. So one of the things I've seen in this wonderful trip to Chinatown, I remember that, as I say, like every valley had very different ethnic groups and very different each other. What surprised me the most is how you can have an ethnic group that much minority living isolated there, and in the following mountain you have a different ethnic group with a different traditional dress, with a different language, with even different beliefs, right? So it was for me very very extraordinary, and actually I visit one Akha village there, and I remember that when I was just like crossing the village with my tour guide and a friend of mine, and suddenly they were just sacrificing a pig because of something about the bad spirits, because people were getting sick or something. So well, but that was just when I was crossing, let's say the chief villagers, the chief of the village was taking the pig, and just slaughtering in the middle of the main road of the village, and I had to stop because that was kind of holy moment, and well, that was pretty intense. But the thing I want to say, actually, it's the following day. I was going back to actually have a flight to Heho, but that flight from Chinatown to Heho got cancelled. So instead, I had, because I really needed to go back and well to continue my trip, and the next flight was like 3 or 4 days later. So it was really inconvenient for me to wait 3 more days in Chinatown. So finally, we decided to take a car that brought me to Nyangshui, to Inle Lake. So when I hired the car, I checked on Google Maps, okay, from Chinatown to Taunji or Nyangshui, how long it takes. I check on Google, it says like around 8 to 9 hours, and then I check with the supplier there, and he said, okay, yeah, how long it takes? Said, yeah, about 10 hours. Okay, yeah, more or less like in Google, a bit more like 2 more hours. Well, let's do it, right? So we took that car and we started the journey. So at the end, it took me 18 hours and a half. So the longest trip of my life by car.
Of course.
Because, yeah, I mean, I don't know, we just got stuck for 1 hour in the mud. So some people help us, and finally we could got over that mud. But that was just 1 hour. So the other 17 hours of trip, it was just like normal trip. So I was surprised how, like my driver told me it's going to take you about 10 hours. And it took me 18 hours and a half. So I
Yes,
was
huh?
very surprised, like how big can be the gap, because sometimes you can say, okay, it's gonna take about 6 hours, and then it takes 7 hours,
Yes.
or maybe seven and a half. But from 10 to 18 and a half, every hour I was thinking like, when are we going to arrive? And we crossed, however, the whole Shan state, right, from east to west, and that was a really, really beautiful and extraordinary scenario in general,
Yes.
but also like, yeah, I mean, the landscape, everything you see, the jungles, the mountains, the places you stop. So that's the longest trip in my life,
Yes.
but it was not that bad because of the beautiful landscape I've seen and all the places you cross around, many checkpoints where you need to stop, you need to give papers. I mean, it's a bit complicated, to be honest. It was fortunately, the travel agent I was working for, they really handle everything and manage for the special permits and so on. But it was really, really extraordinary. However, it's still the longest day trip of my life. It was so
Yes.
curvy. I arrived in Yongshui. I was completely destroyed by that extremely long journey that never ended. I have to say, however, that at that time, when we arrived to Tanji, it was the hot air balloon festival.
Yes.
So when we were arriving to Tanji, I've seen from far one balloon already, like going up, and I was so happy because I realized, wow, we are in Tanji. But that was already like 16 hours. The thing is, once in Tanji, we got stuck like 1.5 more hour because of the big traffic jam, people going to the festival and so on. And as I said, but then at least it was a very, very beautiful landscape on the way. So even though it was 18 hours and a half, my friend, by the way, Spanish like me, I told him like, yeah, it's gonna take 10 hours. So you can imagine after 18 hours, he was a bit mad at me, like, what's going on here? And he still remembered me like nowadays. He still remembers me like that's the longest trip in my life. I never stayed 18 hours in a row in a car. But well, he remembers that with let's say in a funny and friendly way. Obviously, I enjoyed a lot living in Myanmar. And, when I arrived, even Yangon was much different. There was no Myanmar Plaza. There was no most of the hotels. It was really complicated when it was raining. It was much more flooded everywhere and complicated than the last years. So the last years there were more infrastructure, more options, more accommodations, more shopping centers, more restaurants. Something that I want to highlight is like it took me a lot of time to get used to the Myanmar food in general. Sometimes I talk to the people, I probably in 4 or 5 years, I got like around 50 food poisoning, in my life, 50 times I was sick. But that was in the first 2 or 3 years. But then after like my last 2 or 3 years, nothing. I was okay. I got used, probably I'm more sensitive than other people. Also, like the food supply chain improved. That was a big change for me because once I got used to the food, my life got much better. Everything was okay, So it's like, okay, now I'm adapted to Myanmar. I can live here, no problem. I can eat street food, almost pretty much everything. So that was really cool. So that's why that was something that was concerning me. Like, how will I be able to survive in this country? Having every time I go and I eat something a little bit weird, I have stomach ache. I feel bad. But that was solved. So once that was solved, also like I was, let's say, understanding better the way everything worked. I was fine and I was ready to leave, for many years. But well, like I work mainly in tourism. However, okay, I also have, I'm the owner of the Yangon Spanish School, which is also, to have a language school is something that I really like. We have like native teachers that also, let's say, live in Myanmar, know about Myanmar, and we start having more and more interest into the Spanish language. So that business it's still actually running. It's going well because it's almost the only Spanish school you have to learn with native teachers, and that's why it's the reason that I'm still attached to Myanmar, because from the tourism side, right now, as you know, because of the pandemic and because of the very bad political situation, everything got stuck. So this is what I learned about Myanmar, about the tourism industry, about how it works, about where to go, how to transmit to the travel agents, to the tour operators. So that's the problem. I mean, for me, I would love to continue sending people from France, from Spain, from Latin America to visit Myanmar. That was my dream, and we really developed. We had a huge team and everything was working well, but with the pandemic and the political things, that's right now really in standby. And obviously, it's going to get back, but it's hard for me to wait, for very long. So that's why I'm kind of in a complicated situation, saying, okay, well, wish I could resume this tourism business soon, but in the meanwhile, at least the Spanish school keeps on having students. Some of them are really progressing. Some of them find jobs related to the Spanish, because my language, Spanish, is the second worldwide language, spoken language in the world. And there are so many countries that speak Spanish. Even in the US, you have millions of people. So it's good for me to see like all these Myanmar people that wants to learn my language, that's getting probably trendy because of the Latin music and wherever, So that's what I highlight this, not only to advertise my school. It's more because I want to highlight that this is what keeps me attached to Myanmar. Because otherwise, only with the tourism is over for a while, so I would not even think of staying in Myanmar any longer. I would probably go to another country in Asia that now is about to reopen after the COVID, and doing what I know how to do it. That is, like to make the business development with tour operators and travel agencies, online travel agencies, these kind of things. And that's what I like to do it. That was my favorite part of Myanmar, also because it was like developing a lot. Like every year, new destinations opening, new places to go, new activities, new suppliers, new hotels, and that's why, like, well, it's been almost 2 years that we had to stop all of the sudden this business. But fortunately, the Spanish school has been growing, being online, reaching other parts of the country, people from Mandalay, from Naypyidaw, from Taungji, from Ichinya, joining our school. That makes me very proud, because I see them like progressing, some of them finding jobs thanks to also like that Spanish education. So well, let's see how it's progressing, but to me, apart from the Spanish school, I need to be involved to the tourism again, to make sure I can stay in Myanmar for a long time. So I've been waiting. Now for sure it's gonna take a little bit longer, but the potential of all these tourists that want to visit Myanmar, it's something that many people are just asking me almost every day. How is the situation? When can we travel? We really want to travel. We want to discover Myanmar. We visit so many countries around, but it's just Myanmar is in my waiting list. Let me know, Oriol. And it's like, yeah, well, but unfortunately, right now, it's not even possible to make the visa. So I will just wait, and my hope is to be able to settle and to resume all the work we've done with all the people that were working in my office. So they were extraordinary. We speak many languages in my office: French, Spanish, English, German. Receiving people from all over the world, organizing their holidays across Myanmar. When you organize the holidays from the people coming from the other parts of the globe to Myanmar, and they tell you, thank you so much, we really enjoyed Myanmar, the Myanmar people, the destination, one of the best trips of my life. So we're getting extraordinary feedback from all these travelers, and we all used to feel very good of that and very proud. So that's why it's like I really miss that feeling. I every day not just hope and pray, but also trying actively to inform about what the things that happen in Myanmar and trying to help as much as I can, but there's a very little bit we can do, right? So
Yes.
this time it's being very complicated. Of course, we keep the hope. Of course, I know that things will change, but obviously you feel sad, especially for those that are facing or suffering more. What is for sure is that I'm gonna keep attached forever in Myanmar. That's for sure.
Oh.
Now let's see if Myanmar also give me the opportunity, and to me and to all my friends. Also, I'm talking about many local people that are just waiting and hoping, wishing something good to happen. So the only thing I want to say is like to all my friends, some of them my brothers and sisters I know from all across the country. Again, I have friends in Taunji, in Mandalay, in Bagan, and to all these people that many of them I couldn't talk to them for a very long time, and I really wish I can go and visit them very soon. I want just to transmit now to them my my feelings and my hope, because I know it's hard times for everybody, but I also know that Myanmar has faced these kind of situations before, and it's been at the end to get a little bit better or to recover or to improve a little bit. So that's the only thing. I have a lot of love for Myanmar and Myanmar people, and I know a lot about Myanmar, even the history. I learn a lot about the Buddhism, also the other religions and ethnic groups around the country. So what you have in Myanmar is really unique, and people have to know that, because after this bad and turbulent period, many people like me will make it happen back again. So bringing again people, making Myanmar well known across the globe, and we'll work for it. So there's no way we will abandon Myanmar and we'll like just forget about all the good things that happen. So that's the only message I want to transmit, because many of them, it's been like almost 2 years I haven't talked to them, and I want them to know that we deeply think on it, and I have so many friends and relatives and business partners that are just willing to send people back to Myanmar to visit, to improve the country altogether, to do whatever is necessary for Myanmar to get back to normal.
Yes.
Os deseo lo mejor para todos.